Well, even as the Congress MLA's Zameer Ahmed Khan's residence has been raided by the ACB, there are protests that are reported from outside his residence in Bengaluru. Now, do remember that the Anti-Corruption Bureau had booked the Congress Karnataka leader over a disproportionate assets case, and 5 locations in Karnataka are being raided even as we speak. Now, among the 5 locations, of course, is his residence as well in the Bengaluru cantonment. So the ACB, of course, has registered a case of disproportionate assets against the Congress MLA BZ Zameer Ahmed Khan. Sage Raj is reporting from outside his residence in Bengaluru. Sage, ED raids, of course, were conducted in about 5 locations. Now, the ACB says that there is a case of disproportionate assets against him. Give us more details. All right, we seem to have lost that connection with Sage Raj. We're going to try and get him back in just a bit. But the ACB is conducting raids after the ED had in fact filed a report of disproportionate assets against the Congress Charmjapet MLA Zameer Ahmed Khan. Now, pictures on your screen, of course, are also of the protests that are taking place by Congress workers outside his residence in Bengaluru cantonment. Now, 5 places that are linked to him are being raided. I think we've got Sagai back. Sagai, give us more details of how the Congress party is reacting to these raids. Sage Raj is reporting from outside his residence in Bengaluru. Sage, can you give us more details of the kind of reaction we are seeing from the Congress party? Now, we understand that workers were protesting against this action outside his residence.
See, you can see in the visuals that Congress workers are protesting outside the residence of Zameer Ahmed Khan near cantonment. They are protesting against BJP government, ACB, as well as enforcement department. They are claiming that it is a witch hunt against their leader, and they are marching on a protest here in their cantonment against the search which is happening in his residence. Remember, the enforcement department had conducted a search last year. Following that, the Anti-Corruption Bureau of Karnataka today started the search in his residence, and the large numbers of protesters on the streets and on the roads of cantonment protesting against the raid on their leader, Zameer Ahmed Khan.
All right, so as Sage Raj is, of course, taking us through the protests that are taking place. But Sage, apart from that, now raids are being conducted in about 5 locations. Are they still on? Give us more details.
Yes, the raids are happening at 5 places, including his residence, office in Kalasi Palya, his flat in Sadashiv Nagar, as well as Lavli Road. And what you also get to learn is Anti-Corruption Bureau started to raid early in the morning, and this will continue till end of the day. And once they conclude with this particular raid, we'll come to know what they have found out in this particular raid.
All right, so Sage Raj, of course, is continuing to bring us pictures from outside his residence. Now, Sage, we understand that the ACB has registered a case of DA against him, after the ED had filed a report in this case.
Yes, the enforcement department had conducted raids on his residence as well as his offices last year, and he have a luxurious bungalow on cantonment here in Bengaluru, and it was talk of the town when the enforcement department raided his house, and subsequently now Anti-Corruption Bureau is conducting raids in his office and his residence. And the reason which was being given by this ACB is that disproportionate assets, and whether he has more money than what he has shown his income is a big question. Whether they'll be able to procure those documents to prove their argument is a big question, because enforcement department had raided his house. He's already facing those charges, and And every month he's been visiting Enforcement Department and several other agencies on the same. And now it is a new case which has been registered by Anti-Corruption Bureau of Karnataka.
All right, and the Congress party, of course, continuing to protest outside his residence in Bangalore cantonment, near Bangalore cantonment. Now, Saket, these are not the first time, of course, that raids are being conducted against him. I think in August of 2021 also there were several raids.
Yes, as I was telling you earlier, that Enforcement Department had conducted raid on his residence here in cantonment. Following that, there were also raids on his offices as well as other houses of Zameer Ahmad Khan. Following that, now the Anti-Corruption Bureau have registered a case and investigating on the same angle of disproportionate assets. As we speak now, you can see that police have got their vehicle. Probably they might detain the workers of Congress and supporters of Zameer Ahmad Khan who are protesting in front of his residence.
All right, so as Saket is reporting, of course, we are seeing continuous protests outside his residence by Congress workers who are essentially protesting against the raids that are being conducted by the ACB. Now, can you take us through what's happening there currently, Saket?
See, now the police have increased the security outside his residence immediately after the supporters as well as the Congress workers started to protest in front of his residence against Anti-Corruption Bureau as well as Karnataka government. And their only argument is that it is a witch hunt politics against their favorite leader Zameer Ahmad Khan. They are saying that he's been unnecessarily framed by Anti-Corruption Bureau by the BJP government as well as the Enforcement Department. Remember, this particular case was registered after Enforcement Department have raided his house, and now the Enforcement Department is registered a case and investigating in the angle of disproportionate assets of Zameer Ahmad Khan, and they are also trying to find out whether he has made more wealth than what he has shown on his papers. So it is all subject to investigation and procuring the documents during their raids. As we speak now, you can see now the Congress workers as well as the supporters of Zameer Ahmad Khan are protesting, and probably they might be detained by the cops to avoid unnecessary chaos outside his residence.
So as Saket is reporting, of course, we are likely to see action from the police over these protests that are taking place outside the MLA's residence.